Hello, hello, hello. I am Sam Bradley. I'm the executive director of Pahmusa. Now, the Pan African Historical Museum in the USA has been an innovative educational resource for schools, community groups, and the general public in Springfield since its founding in 1995. Now, we use materials and human resources to make Black history come alive. Now, with the goal of fostering a more comprehensive and appreciative understanding of the African diaspora, its people, and its enormous contribution to our civilization. Now, this Black History Month conversation series, it will run out throughout the month of February. Okay, it's an opportunity for you to discuss and celebrate the various perspectives, interests, and experiences represented by our community. So tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. So we want you guys to listen and participate. All right? All right. So we have a fantastic show for you today. I have with us none other than my brother from the same mother. All right, and his name is Lieutenant Colonel Micheal Busby. And so I guess he's gonna pop up on the screen in a few. And as you guys waiting for him, you'll see some of the pictures and everything. Now, what I'm doing, if the pictures can keep rolling, I'm gonna just have I'm gonna read his bio. Just have those pictures to just keep rolling. Okay.
Lieutenant Colonel Micheal A. Busby is currently serving as a Joint Force Development Strategist with the Joint Staff J7 Directorate. He received his commission as an aviation officer from the University of South Carolina in 1998. Prior to his arrival to the Joint Staff, he was a student at the United States Army War College, Carlisle Barracks. Previous non-command assignments include service as an aviation platoon leader, the Squadron Troop XO, 6th Cavalry Brigade, Camp Humphreys, ROK, Operations Officer at the Joint Multinational Simulation Center in Grafenwöhr, FRG Engineer, Observer, Controller, Trainer, Mission Commander Training Program, Battalion S3 and XO, 11th Engineers, 36th Engineers Brigade, Deputy District Commander for the Buffalo District, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Deputy G3 for Training, ATSC at Fort Shafter, Hawaii, Deputy Branch Head from the Combined Joint Engineer Directorate, Combined Security Transition, Commander Afghanistan in Kubal, Afghanistan. His command assignments included 16 months as commander, A Company, 40th Battalion, 2nd BCT, 1st AD Bomb Holder, FRG, where he deployed to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. 24 months as a commander, 84th Battalion, 130th Engineer Brigade at Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. Lieutenant Colonel Busby holds a Bachelor of Science in Geology from University of South Carolina, a master's degree in Geology and Geophysics from Missouri University of Science and Technology and a Master's of Strategic Studies from the U.S. Army War College. His awards and decorations include the Bronze Star, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, the OIF and OEF campaign medals, the Combat Action Badge, the Army Aviator Badge, the Parachutist Badge, the Air Assault Badge, and the Bronze Order of the De Fleury Medal. He is married to a former Elizabeth Major of St. Helena Island, South Carolina, and has two daughters, Micah 14 and Elise 8.
Thank you, thank you. Wow. Now that's some accomplishments right there. So, Lieutenant Colonel Micheal Allen Busby. I know you probably didn't want me to say your middle name, but I had to let them know. So, welcome to our broadcast, and welcome to the Black History Month Conversation Series.
All right. Out of all that introduction, the only important thing was the last part. That I have a wife and two daughters. But I appreciate that wonderful introduction there. I think that voice sounded familiar. I'd like to say a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. But it's just truly wonderful to be here, and I appreciate the introduction and the opportunity to kind of just talk a little bit here this evening with the Facebook family. And everybody else.
All right, great. So you know what, Mike? So we're gonna just jump right into it.
Okay.
All right. It was a little bit behind the clock, so we're just gonna jump right into it. Now, during your time in the military, basically, what do you do at the military? What's your job?
Okay, and for a lot of individuals that aren't in the Army, we use a lot of jargon. We use a lot of acronyms, and so I apologize if I do that. I don't want to kind of lose anybody as I talk about some of these things. But she said I was in the Joint Staff, and pretty much the Joint Staff is we mainly exist as a staff to support the commander of the Joint Staffs, who's now General Milley, who has certain statutory things that he's responsible for, and the staff is there to support him because a lot of his main duties are to include to be an advisor to the President of the United States as well as to the Secretary of Defense, and to support him in that. Each one of the armed services, like your Army, your Marines, your Navy, they have service chiefs that also provide support to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs so that he can do those duties as well. And in my capacity, we are in they call it the J7. So each one of the operations has got a numbered staff. Like the J1 is responsible for personnel, so human resources, if you will. The J7 is responsible for managing, looking at how we fight and how we train. So as a part of that, we're dealing with how we're going to fight in the future, and we're working on what's called warfighting concepts in the future, and that's kind of what we're working on right now, and that's what I'm a part of. This truly wonderful thing that I'm doing, but that's the main thing that I currently do right now. So I hope that was kind of a good explanation for you. I didn't want to lose anybody. Pretty much, I work at a numbered staff, the J7, which is responsible for training and dealing with future concepts. And that's a part of what I do day in and day out, as well as other duties as assigned, which is normal operations as well.
Okay.
The location of that is in the Pentagon here in Virginia as well. So I just like to add that too.
Yeah. I was gonna say, when was you gonna say that? And now you have I'll just say this: a lot of people join in the Army or in the military for whatever reason. Some might join it for money, or some might join in for basically because their family doing it and they want to do it. What was your reason for joining the military?
Well, my story is not unique and similar to a lot of fellow Americans to why they joined the military. I joined for to get money for college. So actually, I was not in the active duty initially. I was actually in the National Guard, which was in South Carolina. So shout out to those who are in the National Guard. So that's how I got my start. And I was doing that in conjunction with this program that was started actually by President Bill Clinton called AmeriCorps.
Okay.
So I was working in rural South Carolina, working with rural development in South Carolina, and I also did the National Guard to get funds for college as well. And so when I finally did go to college, I could not be in the National Guard and go to college, where I got accepted as a scholarship for a reserve ROTC scholarship. So I couldn't have both at the time. So I had to get out of the National Guard and go to the ROTC to get my to fulfill my obligation as for that scholarship. So that's kind of how I got into the Army. That was my foothold, and then the ROTC kind of propelled me to the active duty portion. And 20 some odd years later, here I am. So that's kind of how I got my start.
Okay, okay. Now, when my wife was reading your bio, I heard her mention like different states and a lot of different countries. How many countries have you been to?
Okay. Well, total, I've been to 19 countries.
Okay, wow.
Been stationed. Now, I've been to a lot of states, but I've been actually lived in like over 7 states, if I remember correctly. So I've been to, and that's one of the aspects of being in the military as well. You do a lot of traveling. So you kind of get used to every 2 to 3 years, you kind of say, okay, where are we going next? Now, granted, that has some benefits and some detractors too. Number one, you get to meet a lot of friends, but also you get to lose a lot of friends. But social media and the trappings of modern society have made that a little easier to maintain connectedness with your friends and family. But sometimes there are times where you kind of move when you don't want to. And that can be hard and trying on the family, but we've made it through a lot of that, and very rewarding. I can't complain about a lot of the places I've been. 5 years in Germany.
Wow.
Traveled all through Germany and lived all through Germany. 4 years in Hawaii. I mean, you can't really beat that. And also a couple of years in Buffalo, New York, which is really an odd place where you don't really have that many military. So just very rewarding experience to do those things.
Okay, okay. Now, since you've been to what, 19 countries? That's
Yes.
what you said? Okay. What would you consider your favorite place? Which one you remember the most?
Well, I would have to say, and this is part of a lot of things that I have to look at as well, is I pick things in category of personal and professional. So when you say things like the best or the worst, there's a caveats to that. I would have to say Germany, because a lot of professional and personal things happened. Number one, the birth of my child. First child was there in Germany, and then I had command and deployed the first time was in Germany. And so I would have to say that Germany deployment, Germany tour was probably one of my favorites, just because of the culture and the amount of travel we did. So from Germany, we also went to Spain, Rome, and a lot of other locations as well. So that was just a very unique experience as a young couple.
Yes.
And as a lot of professional milestones in my career as well happened in Germany. So I'd have to say Germany.
Germany.
Wasn't bad either.
All right. now, I would have thought you would have said like Hawaii in paradise.
Oh, Hawaii was great. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, Hawaii was pretty great, but and during that Hawaii deployment, Hawaii tour, I was deployed for 1 year too. So I mean, mainly for the family, I would definitely say they would say Hawaii was but Hawaii was nice as well.
Yeah, I wanted to say Hawaii because I wanted to, come and visit.
Yeah, I wanted to see
I
you.
didn't have enough time to come
There.
Huh?
We're trying to get you there.
Now, now the food. What food or what dish or something like that that you remember? I mean, I know you went someplace and you probably said, "Man, taste these something." What
Oh,
food would you remember?
food. Jeremy, for me, I like they had this place, Stockkrug in
Okay,
Baumholder. So just picture Baumholder as your idyllic, typical like German town, mountains, the whole nine. We lived what's termed off post, so we didn't live on the base. We lived in the community, and they had this wonderful restaurant, Stockkrug, in downtown Baumholder, and they would do wood fired meats. So you'd walk in and there's this large pit. They just throw the meat on the pit and then dip it
okay,
into the fire, and you just smell the aroma as you walk in. So just a nice piece of steak or a pork
okay.
stock crew. That's great. You can't beat that.
Okay, so now,
Favorites.
yeah, so I want to talk about basically some of your mentors. Okay, um, I remember when I was younger, and my mother, mom, she talked to me and she was telling me about when she was on Thomason campus and when Martin Luther King came
Yeah.
and touched her belly and she was pregnant. And so I was the unborn child. And then so when she told me that story, when I got of age, he became my mentor. I tried to do everything like Martin Luther King. I tried to help people, and actually, I joined Alpha Phi Alpha. I just had to, throw that symbol on. Okay, and so he was my idol, and he was somebody that I looked up to. Who was that person or that mentor that you had while you was in the army?
Okay, and Sam, I appreciate you bringing that up because that's an important part. One of the important parts of being a leader in the Army is the mentor-mentee relationship. Now, a lot of people have definitions of mentor. To me, it means like somebody that's in a professional environment who's been there. I'm going to use the term seasoned, has been in the profession for a long time, and formally helps guide. And when I say guide, I'm talking like you impart some of your knowledge, your wisdom, and your level of expertise. You guide a lesser experienced person in the professional endeavors, the professional side of their job. And I think that's an important aspect of the military is you didn't get there by yourself. And likewise, there's people that are coming behind you that you don't want them to go through some of the things, good, bad, or indifferent, that you had to. And so if you can make their journey, so to speak, easier by imparting some of your knowledge, level of expertise, help guide them, that's really critical in kind of making sure that the force itself is more professional, more expertly driven, and contributes more for the nation. So that's very important. I can think of during certain aspects of my career, I had a lot of individuals who are GOs now.
Mhm.
General Graham helped me out a lot as a company commander, did a lot of great things for me. My previous deployment, Colonel Baumgardner helped me a lot,
Okay.
mentoring me and some of the things that he did. I got a lot of Colonel No, both male and female. Colonel No was very instrumental in my career as well. And really helped me, showed me the ropes and kind of things. And a lot of this, when I'm talking about mentorship, I'm talking about it's not just in terms of patting you on the back, but it's looking at a lot of the things that throughout your career, like in terms of when do you do certain things like go to school, when do you what locations you need to go to, and part of that mentor-mentee relationship, it should carry on for a long time. It should not just be kind of, hey, just talk to me for one time. No, it should be a pretty consistent through social media,
Mhm.
through email, just kind of talk you through, and you develop a relationship where certain critical things in your life, in your career, you kind of say, hey, I got this report. Can you take a look at this? Hey, I'm thinking or I'm interested in this. Based on what I want to do, is this a right thing or a wrong thing? And so a part of that relationship is you yourself have to have an idea of what your end goal is, or where you see yourself, whether it's in 5, 10, or 15 years. And if that's where you want to be, you discuss that with that mentor to say, and they can say, well, if you're trying to do that, where you are now may not be the best place, or this is where you need to go next. And those things are crucial in making sure that you have success. And a part of that is kind of interesting, right? Is who defines success for you? Is it you? Is
Okay.
it friends? Is it your family? Because a lot of that professional, personal thing comes into it. There are personal goals that you have, which are like, I want to have kids here, I want to do this here, I want to do that. And then you have professional goals. And sometimes those don't quite line up. And so
Okay.
there's sacrifices that have to be made. And you have to discuss that as a family, because your wife and your kids are part of that as well. And whatever you do impacts them. But that's part of the goal setting and career setting that you do. And a mentor can help along with that. But that was very important. And those individuals that I mentioned were very instrumental in getting me to where I am today. And I'm sure in your career and a lot of careers of the people that are listening, they've had mentorees or mentors that have helped them, and they've likewise mentored somebody along the way as well to get them to where they need to be.
Yeah.
So appreciate that.
Okay. You know what? You said some of your mentors help you, and we're gonna what do you want to do with your life in 5 or 10 years? What do you expect to do in the next 5 years? I mean, you've done a lot of accomplishments, but 5 years from now, where would you see yourself being?
I probably see myself retired, and probably right now, and see, this is subject to change, which I see myself retired probably somewhere in South Carolina,
Mhm.
um, in a dream house, or building my dream house. But kind of retired from a lot of the things that I'm doing right now, because you got, at a certain point, you got to know when to hang it up, and
Okay.
somebody that's behind you kind of accept some of those reins and do a lot of those things, because it's always good to have fresh ideas, a fresh perspective to come in and carry on, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, at some point we hang them up, and I expect in 5 years to be hanging them up in South Carolina, watching my first daughter who's finishing up and who's in college, and sending my second daughter off to college.
Okay.
Well, no, she should be in college, going at least middle of high school. I kind of aged her a little bit, but in high school, and being there for the family, and being more attentive to the personal goals and not so much the professional goals.
Yes, yes, yes. And we'll probably get back to that a little later. But
Yep.
I want to ask, doing all these things that you've done, okay, what would you say was one of the toughest things to do, or the toughest job, or hardest position? What would you say something like that would be?
I would have to say, because I mean, as a commissioned officer, I'm a commissioned officer too. Um, we do a lot of leading, or leading is a big part of what we do. And and certain aspects of leadership are, you have to do a self-reflection,
Hmm.
understand what are your strengths and weaknesses, because we all have strengths and weaknesses. Kind of do an assessment of yourself and be true to yourself, because number one, a lot of times in this profession, people can tell when you're faking it,
Okay.
you know, when there's some integrity issues. So number one, you got to be honest, and you got to start with yourself doing that assessment. Once you kind of understand that, you can look for ways to be better and improve yourself, and minimize some of those weaknesses and accentuate a lot of those strengths.
Hmm.
Then when you do that and you go form those leadership roles, a main thing, important part of leadership is kind of through certain ways, motivating people to do things. And sometimes they don't want to do those things.
Okay.
Through your leadership, your ability to kind of lead them to those things, you can kind of take them to places where, number one, they don't want to go, or number one, they didn't think was possible.
Hmm.
important part of leadership is kind of implanting those seeds of just confidence and strength to take them there. Because a lot of times people or organizations don't think they can get to certain heights. Part of it is mentally themselves.
Yeah.
And important part of leadership is developing those skills to impart, to kind of have people take off those chains, take off those self-doubts, and then through themselves, they can see that they can make it.
Right.
And an important part of leadership as well is not only is that you're leading, but they see that they were a part of the success of the organization. So the organization not only succeeds, but that person internally has some personal success. And when they're not a part of the organization, or when they get by themselves, that self-confidence that they developed in the organization, they can continue that, and they can propel that, and they can help others.
Right.
Also, you're not going to be there all the time. Like when I was a battalion commander, it's like hundreds of people. I can't be everywhere, but through the leadership tools that you learn, you use, and you impart upon your immediate staff and other individuals, they can be there and they understand what your intent is, so that when you're not there, they're carrying that forward, so the organization as a whole succeeds. And I think that's very important. And I have to say the toughest job was probably battalion command, because it was so much of that indirect leadership where you can't just direct everybody to do this, do that, do that. You have to kind of have a vision, part that and communicate that vision. And then a lot of times those people are off on their own doing things. And hopefully you've done your job to lead them, that when they have to execute, they do the right thing, they do the correct thing, and they make the organization better. And likewise, they make the nation better and the Army better. And so I think doing that as a battalion commander was tough because of the indirect aspect and the fact that we were so separate. And they performed great, and they did a lot of great things, not for me,
Right.
for the nation, for the Army, and for the organization. And so it was just, but it was a lot of times tough to kind of translate what I wanted and what the nation and what the Army wanted, and making sure that my soldiers did that.
Right. Okay. Okay. You know, let me tell you. I mean, I know you. You've gotten this far, and how many battles or how many things that you've been in? I'm just curious. Have you been in certain wars or anything?
Just like was in my bio, like I said, OIF
Yeah.
and OEF is Operation Iraqi Freedom, and then Operation Resolute Support. So Iraqi Freedom, I was there in 2008, and we were deployed to Ramadi, Iraq, and then just recently, Operation Resolute Support, I was in Kabul, Afghanistan, 2019. And so very rewarding experience, and that's one of those crucible moments as well, when threat not making it back home kind of generates another additional level of anxiety and issues that you have to deal with leading organizations in that way. That was difficult as well. But I've been there. There were different missions. The first one, Iraqi Freedom, was more tactical, operationally focused. The second one, Resolute Support, was more strategic or higher level, dealing with larger organizations, a little bit farther removed from the tactical operations, dealing with large major organizations within the Afghan government and Afghan military. But both of them equally rewarding. Both of them not only professionally but personally. There was a lot of growth there, but great experiences. And I felt at both times, in both organizations, we did a lot for the nation and for the military. So I'm proud of both of those experiences.
Right. Okay. And now I'm asking this, Mike. Back in there when we were had like Jim Crow laws and stuff like that. I have to ask you something about our history, but I'm not. I know you're in the military. So, but we had the 54 Massachusetts regiment. We had um, we had the Red Tails,
Yep.
the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yep.
We had the Buffalo Soldiers, the Harlem Hellfighters. All of them were great. They were brave. They were courageous, and they paved the way for a lot of people today, especially
Yep.
in the military. As a matter of fact, back in World War II, uh, our granddaddy,
Yep.
he was in there, and so I just like to thank those people for doing what they've done, and also um, they paved the way for more blacks to become officers.
Mhm.
Okay, and now, as far as you are concerned, do you see? Is it still going like black people or minorities? Are they still climbing up the ladder, still becoming officers, or is it a stalemate or a shutdown? I mean, what is your experience on that?
Well, I would kind of echo a lot of your comments there. I think for us in the minorities in the military now, we stand on the shoulders of giants. A lot
Okay,
of individuals who paved the way for all services, African American minority, are were instrumental in where we are as the success with having the first African American Secretary of Defense.
okay,
Those things. First Air Force chief, so I mean, it's still trailblazing. So there's still a lot. We're having a lot of firsts in 2021. So that right there lets you know that there's still some ways to go, and we
right,
still have to keep plowing forward. But I guess definitely those individuals are not forgotten on my part. And I would think and I think another thing that the audience got to understand, like the military is a reflection of America. We're made up of people from all states and territories, and so all those issues that are going on within America, they don't just go away. Now, a lot of those things get changed as you go through basic training, and they try to change you from a civilian to a
mhm,
soldier. But a lot of those things from those environments are in the military as well. So when you just recently had the Secretary of Defense say we're going to have a stand down to combat extremism, I mean, those things and the ills that are happening within the society are happening too as well in the military. So those things is vigilance on our part to understand that those tenets and those things that we are brought up when we go through basic training in terms of taking care of each other, the good of the organization, serving for a higher cause than yourself, those types of things, you try to ensure that those things are inculcated as we transition, each one of us transitions from a civilian to a soldier. Not always the case, but we are diligently in the armed forces trying to battle those things. And I think those things do exist in today's military. And I myself am trying to contribute and do my part to improve this organization. And if I see those things, call it out and tackle those things. But no
right.
doubt, I echo a lot of your comments there and want to thank and appreciate all the hard work and those things that the soldiers before me went through to get so that I can be where I can be. And a lot of the first that I mentioned can happen and are possible.
Okay. So COVID. Okay. Um, how is COVID affecting the military? I know you guys have the best of the best, this and this. Is it affecting you guys as well as the community around you?
Oh, definitely. Like I said before, like we're an extension of society. So a lot of the things that are going on within the society are happening too in the military across the organizations. For the Pentagon, for instance, we're at a certain um, HPCon, they call it health level, where you we do what's called telework a lot of the days. And so we're not all in the organization at the same time, but we split up just to minimize contact and what happened due to COVID. Also, we've got individuals that are supporting the task force. We've got certain task force that are helping with. In the pictures, you saw that Mercy ship.
Yeah.
The Mercy ship was part of the initial effort, parking itself in not only New York, but that was on the West Coast as well, doing a lot of support there. I know the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which I was there in my career a little bit, was doing a lot of support for local and state communities in terms of transitioning a lot of these like civic locations and sports locations into temporary facilities to support the surge in COVID cases and so forth. And so that was a lot of participation as well, to include a lot of the medical professionals actually going and supporting the vaccine ramp up effort as well. So there's a lot of things in the military that's both impacting our operations, but also what we're doing to support, eradicating and kind of tackling and defeating this COVID-19 as well.
Okay.
Answer your question.
Yeah, you did. You did. But I got another one.
What's up?
Okay. So your commander in chief, he was on television yesterday, and he said they're gonna make anywhere between 500 and 600 million doses of the vaccines. Okay, and he said everybody in America can get it or will get it, but within July. Okay. Let me ask you this. It is a personal, probably a personal question, but I know a lot of people out there would want to know. Have you gotten your shot, a vaccine shot?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not gotten my shot.
Okay.
So I mean, just a lot of the standards and that are being in place apply to us as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I have not gotten my shot. I don't know when I'm getting my shot, but it is just. I do think that the path we're on now will get us to where we need to be, and I think we are. And I'm sure for a lot of people that are probably listening to this have gotten their shots. For a lot of seniors, and a lot of like the critical workers, health professionals. So I think every day you're seeing more and more the certain aspects of whether it's the vaccine, whether it's treatment, whether it's cases, starting to trend in the right direction. Hopefully, I'm doing my part to support that, and hopefully the listeners as well are doing their part as well.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Now, what do you plan on doing once it's all over? I know you said you wanted to go back home. Now you said South Carolina. I thought you was coming back to Massachusetts, but I guess something's more important. Huh?
It's too cold. I'm old. I don't my old knees and arms from running around doing PT. I need warm weather.
So, but did you have anything in mind? You want to start your basketball career going or something like that after the army, or what?
No, well, that's part of the reason why full disclosure, that's part of the reason why I'm here in the DC area. They call it the DMV.
DMV?
I'm at the personal and professional kind of what do I think I want to do for a large majority of retirees. They go back into government workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Doing similar things that they were doing as a uniformed soldier. They do as a civilian. And so that's one option that I can look at, or I can look at, and then a lot of individuals say they want to do something new, and I'm kind of leaning that way as well. Maybe it's something that I probably didn't get a chance to or would like to do because, where I'm at in my stage, to have the ability to retire, I'll have a little bit more flexibility financially to do certain things that I want to do, and not things that I have to do. And so that's a great option to have. And so I may just want to be a dad, which probably just be a regular dad. Some things that I couldn't attend or wasn't able to, I can do now. So maybe from a professional standpoint, I owe it to my family to do that when I have the opportunity, because I didn't when I didn't have the opportunity. So a lot of those things, and that the audience, I'm sure, deals with in their professional careers, I'm doing, but it's just a little different. But it's no less rewarding based on the places I've been, the things I've done. I mean, I call it a good dilemma based on what I've seen. So there's no regrets on my part, but you know, it's still a work in progress as to what I want to do or where I see myself in the future.
Okay. How often do you get home? How often do you go back to South
Now
Carolina?
it's, you know, now in the career, this job is a little bit more typical of what people in your audience would kind of see in terms of hours. You know, typical daily go to work, come back. You know, but earlier in my career, I didn't quite have a lot of those luxuries. You know, obviously with deployments and frequently going on training exercises, it was a little kind of crazy there. But now it's a little bit more typical of what um, your audience would see as a day job, so to speak, that we call
Mhm.
it. So I don't really I rarely get to go anywhere. Obviously, COVID's kind of stopped a lot of that.
Yes, yes, it did.
COVID situation, I wouldn't be doing as much of the kind of separation from the family as I did previously.
Mhm. Okay, okay. And did you call your mother today? You call mom?
Actually, she called me. She had a problem
Okay.
on, so she's like, so hopefully she made it. But that's a good thing. I'm glad you brought that up, and I want to make this point. I was going to make it in my closing, but I just make it now since um, when I would do promotions,
Mhm.
typical script that I use, but I think is very important, is that I would always say that this moment in your life where people were getting promoted, they were going to a higher, greater level of responsibility. I'd
Yeah.
always tell them they didn't get there alone.
Yes.
There were people in their professional and personal lives, and kind of a lot of the things that I've mentioned in this great discussion we're having here that got them to where they were. They need to acknowledge that and understand that even though they're not here in the ceremony, they are part of this great event in your life because you're here. And I'd like to say at this time, you know, my mother has been great, and I wouldn't be here without her, and I wouldn't be here without you. I don't want to get emotional or anything, but I
Okay,
mean,
come on now.
a lot of your audience can attest to this too. We don't get where we are in our lives by ourselves. It takes a lot of individuals. Like for my instance, we mentioned the Buffalo Soldiers. We mentioned a lot of those trailblazers in the military that that I stand on. And in my personal life, I would not be here without my family that I've mentioned, without my mom and yourself, and a lot of my friends that are out there that have contributed and made me who I am and got me to where I am. So it's just very important, and it's great, and it's important that we acknowledge that, and it grounds us.
Yeah.
So all these things that we talked about, my bio and all that stuff, none of that would have been possible without my family and my friends and my loved ones.
Yeah. Oh man, that's nice. Now you can't cry, and then I start crying. You know, we gotta represent. But uh, let me just ask you. We're closing it up right now. But I
Okay.
want to ask you: would you do it all again? Would you do it all over again?
Would I do it all over again? Oh, emphatically, yes, I would. I think
Okay.
the experiences I had an opportunity to mention some of them tonight to the audience. There was a lot of things that we couldn't get to that we didn't mention, but all those things in totality are just amazing opportunities that in any other profession I wouldn't have the opportunity to do. And I am thankful for it. And I would not give it up for anything in the world. And I think it's just an awesome experience. That's not to say that it's been all just great and awesome. It's been tough times, as anybody in any professional career can attest to. But I do think in totality, it's just been awesome and just life changing. A lot of the experiences that I had, both in what I did for the nation, what I did for myself,
Mhm.
and what I continue to do as well. So emphatically, yes, I would do it all over again.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Mike, I just want to thank you for your service. You know, I appreciate you uh, going out there protecting the country, protecting us, and I'm very proud to be your brother. Okay, all right, and I know moms, the whole family is very proud of you for your accomplishment, and keep going. Go on as long as you can go. We call you Lieutenant Colonel right now, but I'm probably a certain we might be calling you General Busby. I don't know. But you are doing a great job, you know, and from my heart to yours, man, I love you, and stay safe out there. And
Do I get to make a closing argument? Am I? You gonna
yeah,
give me?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I just want to
Okay.
say my sappy stuff
Yeah,
first.
I just want to,
Yeah,
and this is important. I just want to do this for the audience.
yeah.
Audience, there's a lot of talk, and I hear it myself about the divide between the civilian and the military. Because at no other time has this been the lowest percentage of people actually serving in the military. It's like 1 point something percent of the American population. But I just want to thank the audience out there for their support for their armed services. Continue to do it. Even though you don't see it as much in the media, there's still people out there day in and day out who are in harm's way for our way of life, for what we're doing. Please don't forget about them. I know that we've got a lot going on here with COVID and a lot of things that are going on in the nation, but there are still a lot of people in uniform that are away from their families, that are being targeted, that are being in harm's way to protect our freedoms and our way of life. And for those of you that are supporting that, I thank you. And those of you that are thinking about other things, just remember that throughout your day and all the midst of everything that's going on, about the men and women that are out there that are in harm's way protecting us. And with that, Sam, I just wanted to make sure to say that to the audience.
Well, and by you saying that, I have to ask you this. There's some young people out there who need the money, who want to join the military, or some people thinking that that's not the right thing for them to do. What would you say to those young kids out there?
Um, I would say to those young kids out there who are thinking about it, I would say that, like with anything in life, if you if you can get more information, if you can talk to somebody that's done it before, but understand when you talk to those individuals, that's their perspective, and the final decision has to be within you. Kind of, what do you want to do? Because I think that a lot of times we make decisions based on what other people say or what other people do, and then that impacts our personal lives. And so I think that a lot of these young individuals that are thinking about this or being told no, kind of make that decision for yourself, because all information is perishable. You know, you got to get both a lot of different perspectives, and then you kind of weigh those, and then you make a decision. But for those individuals that are thinking, I'd say don't just kind of dismiss it out of hand. Do your research, do your thinking, get the brochures, go online, get the information. But that's just one aspect of it. Try to find somebody that's done it before, like myself, and get their perspectives. Because there's a lot of times, like when I was in command, we do a lot of we do recruitment, and they re-up or re-enlist. And for a lot of people, it wasn't for them,
Mhm.
through their personal situation, those and so forth. And I think a lot of people think I'm gonna say, yeah, do it 100% of the time. But my journey is not everybody else's journey. Other people's journey is going to be different. And based on your personal and your personal and professional goals, maybe this line of work isn't for you. And for a lot of people, that's okay. Like I said, we're 1 point something percent. All those other people are doing great things out there, and a lot of them probably wanted to go but didn't go because of one thing or the other circumstances. But I would just say that do your research, think about it, and weigh that decision, but make the decision for yourself because ultimately you're the one that's going to have to deal with it. And so I think this profession, what I've done, is for some people, and for some people it isn't. But one thing from my standpoint is that I think you're going to, if you do this, you're going to have unique experiences that you will not have in any other profession from the standpoint of learning skills, having a lot of responsibility, working in an organization that's doing things nobody else can do in terms of protecting the nation, doing a lot of humanitarian support efforts, and just having a different experience. And if that's something that's for you, then maybe the armed services is for you. But that's just my perspective. And I would think if a lot of those young individuals would take that approach, they would probably reach a more informed decision and probably be a little bit more secure in that decision than if they just said, no, I'm not going to do it because this person told me not to. Or, yeah, I'm going to just do it and I'm not going to think about it. You know, I think those approaches wouldn't be helpful. But to each his own, so to speak.
Right. That's right. Hey, well, once again, um, uh, you're blowing up right here on the StreamYard here. People are saying thanks for your services. You're doing a good job. Mom, she popped in and she said she's looking out there. So we could tell Mom hello, hello, hello. All right. But once again, Mike, I know you're a very busy man, and I just want to thank you for taking time out your busy schedule for coming on and sharing, you know, basically a typical day or your life in the military with us, with Pahmusa. And we thank you for that. Okay.
The pleasure was all mine. I really get a chance to kind of talk about my story, but it's just a great opportunity. And hopefully, it's been beneficial and helpful for somebody, the audience out there. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Once again, it's a Black History Conversation series. All right, and we'll be coming back with you on this Saturday, and we're going to be talking about the policing in the community. So once again, Lieutenant Colonel, thank you. We appreciate it, and a salute to you. Yes, sir. And
Wrong hand too.
see, hey, that was it. I had the right hand. Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much, and have a good day, everybody. Bye bye.